Alright folks, good evening. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Welcome to BreakAway Homestead. And we are live once again. It's been a long time, my friends. Alright, I'm going to do a couple things here, a couple of admin things, make sure everything's working and that the volume's working good. You might hear an echo real quick. And my friends. Yep. Alright. Mic is a little loud, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Audio. Better. Test. Alright. That should be better. Alright, getting my notes up here. And downgrade that. Pull this up so we can see our chat box. Chip, welcome. Good to see you again, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Looks like you're the only person here at the moment. And it's going to be like that in the beginning. But we know how things pick up. So, I want to welcome you to the BreakAway Homestead. We talk about everything self-sustaining here, homesteading, prepping, and of course family. Fair warning, we talk sometimes like sailors, and we also might tell some truths that might hurt some feelings. That's okay. Feelings sometimes need to be hurt, and sometimes people need to be offended to realize the reality of some situations. So a curse word may slip every once in a while between me or my wife every now and again. But these shows are rated for not suitable for children, so we're going to go with that. So the way we did our shows before, we used to do live streams all the time. Matter of fact, Tuesday Night Live was a weekly thing, and it's going to become a weekly thing from this point forward. We would run some preliminary info, tell you about what's going on in the homestead with our family, discuss some things. I got a wife. Her name is Megan. And since our last live show, she's become a paramedic. She left the field of animals. She was, a sheriff's deputy for animal control. And now she is a paramedic. She works on ambulances and does critical care. Our son Huxley, he's 8. He'll be 9 here soon. He's my big boy. He is autistic, and we homeschool him here on the homestead between myself and his caretaker. During the day, while we work full-time jobs, both Megan and I do. So not only we give an update on our family, We'll talk about an article of the week. We'll give you an update on what's going on in our garden, in animal husbandry, give some health tips, and discuss about a comment of the week. And since we're starting back up live again, we're going to wait for comments sections to fill back up, and we'll start next week with the comment section because it's been forever. So we're going to skip that, and then we're going to go into tonight's subject very shortly. So let me get a couple things squared away. We're on OBS. That's the platform I use. And I'm going to put on display capture. All right. So tonight's topic is yard sales and garage sales, and the know-how of how to get the right item and not get ripped off, and use yard sales and garage sales for your advantage. The advantage of using buying used items, obviously the advantage is to be able to get more for less. With inflation going out of control, the value of items going up so rapidly, the more you can get sooner, the cheaper it's going to be at the end. Anything you buy today, whether it's new or used, will never decrease in value as long as it's not perishable. So first and foremost, about going to yard sales and garage sales. This is not about market sales, flea markets, or anything like that. The people there are there to find a profit. So everything's going to be marked up to a point to where it's almost at retail value, maybe just a little less. So you want to focus your energy on yard sales and garage sales. So the first thing you need to do is be able to have the gift of gab. And the gift of gab is the ability to speak easily and confidently in a way that makes people feel comfortable. And so when you go up to a yard sale or garage sale, you're going to find the person who's putting it on, the family that's there, and you're going to talk to the people who are putting it on and try to get yourself comfortable with them and try to get them comfortable with you. So you're going to have to talk to people. If you can't talk to people, it's going to be a little difficult, but you'll still get a deal regardless. So there are several reasons why people have garage sales. One is no need. So this is the person who no longer wishes to have these items. They're looking for a quick buck, and if it doesn't sell, you'll likely find it in your Habitat for Humanity the following week. This is a 10% rule. When people have yard sales that are just getting rid of stuff, you want to take your phone out, look at it, find the item, look at its retail value, and offer 10% of that price. The best place to go, when you go to a garage sale and you see that nothing has stickers on them, these are the best places. These are the best places to bundle items and be able to offer little for a lot. So these are the no-need folks. That 10% rule carries out for most of the items of those sales. If it's a brand item name, something higher up, Nike, or some crazy brand like, I don't know, Gucci or whatever, you can offer a little more, offer 20% instead. You can look around and see what kind of sale it's going to be and what kind of, and after talking to the person, what kind of return you're going to get for the money that you're going to put into it. If several items interest you, ask them about bundling items. Come up with a 10% offer for all the items. The higher the offer for all the items that are bundled together instead of the individual items may sound more pleasing to the ear of the seller. So knowing that they're getting rid of more junk will also entice them to give you a cheaper deal for more items. If a cheap agreement can't be made, try to put several offers on a card. Get yourself small index cards, put your contact info, put down the item that you want, and say, hey, I'm going to leave this card. This is my offer for this item. Let me leave this with you. If it doesn't sell, give me a call back and I will pay this price for it. Write that on the card as well. And so this is where it becomes a talk and a gift of gab going back and forth with the seller, because these people are just trying to get rid of their stuff. It doesn't matter what they're doing that day or the following day. When they're done having their sale, everything goes on the truck. It goes to Habitat for Humanity, Goodwill, so on and so forth. So another thing you can do with them is when you're talking with them, make an alternative offer. Offer to pick up all the items they didn't sell at the garage sale, and then offer to take those items to Habitat for Humanity for them, or to Goodwill for the items that you were looking for in the first place. So this frees them up from having to do the task themselves. Then follow through with picking up all the items. Make sure you have a truck or something to put all the items in. So be aware of what's on the sale and how much is there. If you don't have the space for it, then don't worry about it. Give them a card offering that one item price for that one item, and they'll call you back if they didn't sell it. Because more than likely, they'll overprice something and then they won't sell it. And they'll go, well, damn, I can't. What am I supposed to do with this now? And they'll call you back. So, say you offer them, hey, if the item doesn't sell, give me a call back. And when they call back, say, hey, if you want, I can just pick up all these items and take them to Habitat or Goodwill for you. Just remember, you're going to get your product that you wanted and a whole bunch of other things. Now you have a choice. You can go through it, keep the items you want to keep, and then take the rest. Follow through with what you said, though. Go to Humanitat, go to Goodwill. But when you turn these items in, don't forget these items have a charitable value, that you can get a donation receipt from these nonprofit agencies that give you these receipts that you can put on your taxes as a charitable donation. You just took somebody else's stuff, did the job for them, and so to pay you back, you get that donation receipt and you get to put that on your taxes. So that's the no-need guy or gal or family. They don't need the items. They're going to get rid of them regardless. Then you have the no space people. Sorry, I got an itch. The no space people. These are this is the hoarder that can't take even one more purchase, simply because they don't have the space. Space is hard to come by. If you look behind me, you've never seen this room before. That's because it's an addition. This is actually our back porch. That's the outside of our house, and we've made a enclosure in our back porch just to put stuff, because we have too much stuff. But space is very valuable, and when people run out of it, they just can't take anymore. So no space is a big issue. So they just can't handle it. When you ask, why are you getting rid of this stuff? And they say, I just don't have the space. If they are genuine, this could be a great opportunity. If you have it, offer your space. Let them know that you would be happy to store their stuff for a set amount of time for the price of half their inventory. So say they got a bunch of stuff out there that's really nice, and they're not going to sell it because you know they're overpriced and they just don't want to get rid of it, but they don't have the space for it. And so what you can do is say, hey, I'll hold on to your stuff for this period of time, get that index card back out, make a small little contract, and if you have the space, take that inventory, and then when that person's ready for getting that inventory back, they get half of it back. And you get to keep half for yourself, free of charge. All you're charging is for the time and space. But if that time period expires, you both need to be in the agreement that you get to keep everything. And more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to keep everything. This is why storage units always have those auctions. It's because they'll put the stuff in it, they'll set it, they'll forget it, they'll move to another state, and they'll go, you know what? No big deal. And to recoup some of that cost, they auction those off. So these can often be people who have had previous businesses and kept them remaining inventory. They still see value in it, but because their defunct company paid real money for it, again, bundling is your best option to save in this case when you're dealing with these types of people. Next, you have no choice. No choice people. These are the folks who are about to get divorced, or people who are in the process of getting divorced and don't want the other person to either have it or be able to use it as collateral in court. If they say, hey, the law says it has to go, deer busts usually, or I'm done, she's going to kick me out, or they were given an ultimatum by their significant other. Champion these people because they are willing to make the change for their sanity and their sanctimony of their marriage. These people are the people who are doing what they can to make sure the other person's happy, and so those are good people to be talking with. Offer a fair price and take it off their hands if they can't get rid of it. Even hold on to it for them. This is how many bromances start. Say you have that deer bust, and he's like, I gotta get rid of this, or she's not gonna let me stay, or she's gonna kick me out, or we're gonna get divorced. Say, hey, I'll hold on to it for you. If you have the space, hold on to it for them. If they move or they expand and get a bigger space, like say he gets a man cave put up, you can give it back to him, and that's a good way to start relationships. If they say, if I don't get rid of this ASAP, the ex is going to use it against me as collateral in court. These are usually the big ticket items, talking about a car or a boat, SUV, RVs. For these items that are big ticket items, offer them 25% on the spot. These are the deals that you don't normally run across, but they want to get rid of it. They don't care if it's going to lose them money. They just don't want their significant other going through divorce to get the value of that item. So offer 25% of its original value cash on spot. So always have that cash available and ready. Have your notary handy to make a purchase official as possible, as soon as possible. One thing you can do for yourself, if you have time, it takes 2 days to become a notary. 2 days of classes, you take a test, you get certified, you become a notary. It lasts 6 years, I believe 5 or 6 years. I still have mine. And so right on the spot, in my state, if there's a car or something with a title, a boat or something like that, in my state, it's legal for me to notarize things for my spouse. And so I can literally on the spot get items in her name, and I can notarize them on the spot. And so it's always best to know somebody with a notary or have a notary yourself. You can never notarize your own stuff. But being a notary, you're also going to have access to people around you that have a notary as well. I notarize for a good friend of mine who's a notary. He notarizes for me. And so it's a symbiotic relationship that we have that works out. So another thing you can do in this situation is do a turnaround. I'm not sure the legality of this. Sometimes states are different than the federal or whatnot. Offer to buy the item at 20% of the retail value. Say it's an RV. Say it's a $20,000 RV. Say I will give you $2,000 for this RV. Then offer to sell them back the same item at a later date. Say I'm going to buy this for this $20,000 RV for $2,000, and you're going to get it notarized. It's going to go in your name, and you're going to hold on to that for this person for a set amount of time. Again, written on a piece of paper as a contract. And what you're going to do is you're going to offer, hey, you have until this date to purchase it back. But instead of buying it at the 20%, the $2,000 that I spent on this one item, you're going to buy it back for double the price. You're going to buy it back for $4,000. That means he goes through his divorce, she doesn't get it, or he doesn't get it, and they know that the item's there. And later down the road, after the divorce is over, they can get their RV back, and they can pay 40% of the value, and you will get 100% profit in your back pocket. Of course, you're going to have to store it. That's what he's paying you for, or she's paying you for. And so, again, if they don't meet that deadline, then it can either be extended if you're a nice person, or you can say, look, a deal's a deal, a contract's a contract, and you just purchase that item for 20% of its original value. You can turn around and sell it and make a lot of money. Now, one thing about this is your word is what's valued here, and most people I know, and I have very few friends that are genuine friends. A genuine friend will always keep their word, and a genuine person will always keep their word. You're making a contract. It could be verbal because you don't want legal to get involved, or that portion there is putting your name on the line. And so there's an opportunity to make some money, especially if you have the space. So another type of garage sailor or yard sailor is too much inventory. When you hear you have too many of these things, think prepper. 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none. But 30 is not 29. 30 is 30 all day long. You can always have way too much inventory and overdo it. And I call these people gun collectors. How many do you need? Just one more. You'll find that people with too much inventory rotate their stock. So check the expiration date. If it's freeze-dried food, you're pretty good on that front. But items that are perishable can have an expiration date. If it's within 1 year of expiration, don't buy it. I would say don't bother. Why take on items that won't be any good, even if it's a Best Buy expiration date? And a Best Buy expiration date is a date where it's good up until this point. And from that point, it's still edible or still usable, but loses something in value. It can lose nutritional value. It could taste different. It could be a different color. So that's the Best Buy. Now, there is a big however here. Say you have no inventory and you're just getting started. And you feel an SHTF situation is imminent, and you need to set a foundation as quick as possible. You need food, you need preps, you need gear, you need all this stuff, and you just got a fat paycheck from the government or a big refund or something like that. And you feel it's imminent that you be prepared now. This is the perfect opportunity to be good for today, but to be able to plan for a better tomorrow. You can get these items at a cheap price that are about to expire and have them on hand. So if something does happen, you can have inventory, but use it, basically think of it as a down payment on your gear, and then plan for a better tomorrow. Think smarter and replace those items as you go to get your inventory where you need it with proper expiration dates. I'd rather folks be prepared with the essentials to get through a catastrophe than for them to have little high dollar items. For more them to have little high dollar items to be able to make it. So, with that being said, we are going to go through some items, and there's an issue here. I have a problem, and my problem is too much research. And when I get it's diving into a rabbit hole that I can never get out of. Every time I see something, I go to something different, and the list gets longer and longer and longer. I was at item 26 or section 26 of my show notes when I said, you know what, we need to calm down. And so maybe there'd be a part 2 of this, or I come out with some sort of actual list that I can post on my Patreon page, which is completely free for you guys to use, and make a catalog of some sort. That's what I'm guessing, is to make a catalog of the items you should have on hand if you have the space, and what you should pay for them at a yard sale or garage sale, and just to keep an eye out for these items. But the things we're going to go through here are going to be items that you should just keep in the back of your mind, keep it on the back burner, and if you see it and when you see it, you'll know, because you heard it here, that hey, maybe this is an item I should pick up, maybe this is an item I should store. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to take a quick look at my notes here real quick and see if anybody's on the live chat. Chip's here. Lead by example. Hello. He's got his notepad. Yep. Reminds me of a binder. Weird static noise at the very beginning. Might have been a fan hitting your mic. So no, my microphone was on when the screen was at. We'll see you here soon. And when I was testing out the sound, the static from that noise came on, and so we should be good now. Chip says, for those not interested in being a notary but find yourself in need of one, most banks offer notary services free of charge to their members. I'll say something about notaries because I'm one myself. A notary can never charge more than $5 for a signature. So you have something that needs to be notarized, they stamp it, they sign it, verifying that that's true in fact. And for just that one signature, the most they can charge is $5 for that signature. So if you find a notary going, oh, that's $10 or $20 or whatever, they're full of it. However, it's per signature. So if you have house documents or affidavits or something like that that need 20 or 30 signatures, prepare to shell out some big bucks, or offer them on the spot. Say, hey, I know there's 30 signatures on here. Can I give you $20? Would that be okay? They're not going to refuse you, because what it really is a public service. What they're trying to do is a notary is just an official person that says, yes, this person was here, this person was here. They agree to transact. I'm a witness, an official witness of the state of North Carolina, right? Also, for myself as a notary, I don't charge for any first responders, any military, anybody, police officers, anybody that has anything to do with any type of public service gets free notary services. I have a volunteer fire department just around the road from me, and they are free to call me at any time, and I will go out. I will actually go out there and notarize whatever they need notarized. So, this is what you need to keep an eye out for. So prepping doesn't have to cost a lot of money when you know what to look for in bargains. Garage sales and yard sales are great places to scoop up cheap survival items you might need in an emergency. The old saying is that one man's junk is another man's treasure. Goes very far. Many people holding garage sales don't know the true value of what they're selling, or they simply don't see items for how useful they are and end up selling them for next to nothing. Yard sale seasons are here now. We're actually halfway into it because summer just started. So now's the time to get out there and talk to people and get those things that you need for your up and coming SHTS situation, your homestead, or to have as backup for other people you might know. You might have kids. You might not. Say you don't have kids and you're still buying stuff for kids in case something happens to your friends that do have kids. Be like, hey, I've got something I can help you with in a situation where they can't afford it or they can't get it and you found it cheap. So hey, think about other people when you're doing this as well. So the first thing on the list is, let me get my PowerPoint up, cast iron cookware. This stuff tends to be pretty pricey, but when buying brand new, but you can get it for about half the price at a garage sale, or less. Again, find the value of it, offer 10%. If they won't take it off for 20%. Cast iron is something that's never going to go bad unless you really mess up. And it lasts for generations. People pass down cast iron to their following generations when they pass away. Cast iron pans are exactly what you need for cooking over an open fire, which is going to take the place of your kitchen stove when the power goes out. And so Dutch ovens, cast irons, I would say get 3 types of cast iron. A small, which is an egg pan, egg iron is what I call them. You can fry up a couple of eggs inside this. This is something small. A medium size, which is going to be about 12 inches, your normal frying pan size. And a large pan, which should be about 16 to 17 inches around. It won't have a long handle, but it'll have handles on the sides, kind of like a Dutch oven. But it's going to be only a couple inches deep, or 3 inches deep. And then you have your Dutch ovens as well. You have Dutch ovens with legs, where you can put underneath coals underneath them. Then you have Dutch ovens without legs, where you need to set up a tripod and lower it onto the fire or to the coals. And the Dutch oven has a lid. Make sure the lid's there, so you can put coals on top of it and use it as an oven. Another thing, cast iron is griddles. That thing right there on the right there is a griddle. If you were to flip that griddle over, it'd be a flat side. What it's using right now is the searing side, and so the other side of that griddle has a flat side for cooking eggs, pancakes, so on and so forth. And make sure your stuff is seasoned correctly. Lodge is like the brand, the best brand for cast iron. There's several other brands. If you find things with dates on them and they go early 1900s or 1800s, this is something you might want to pick up for cheap. If you can get it for cheap, just lay it off like, hey, I found this old cast iron, can I take it? Sure, that'll be $10. Take it, because there is some cast iron out there that are considered antiques that are worth a lot of money. And so that is cast iron cookware. Camping gear. I know there's kids' items on the screen. That's not the point of this show. The show is just kind of give you an example of what you should be looking for at garage sales. And so here's a good example here. You got tents. Keep an eye out for tents. If there's tents selling tents, look at the brand. If it says Ozark Trail or anything Walmart on it, do not go for it. The lowest quality item I would say you would go for is Columbia and up. If you don't know the brands you're looking for, I would say look them up. Say top 10 brands of tents for camping. If you have a household of 3 people, say I have a household of 3, I'm going to want a tent for at least 6 people. That way I have the space to divide and have other things. So say you have animals or something like that, they need the space as well. The more you have, double up on it, and that's the space you want for a tent. Lanterns. You have battery powered lanterns, which run off of batteries. You have single propane lanterns that run off of propane. And then the high end, the high dollar end, is the dual fuel. Coleman usually sells these. These run off of kerosene or even gasoline from your own car. And so when you get your fuels set up, you'll have fuel for light. Do not get rechargeable items. Rechargeable items like lamps, you can't recharge them if the power is out, unless it's something stupid like a little USB port that you can hook up to your solar panel and it's going to recharge that item. That's fine. Same thing we got here. A cook stove. Same thing for a cook stove. You got your propane cook stove, and then you got your dual fuel. Dual fuel is always going to be more expensive. A brand new Coleman dual fuel cook stove is going to cost you about $180. So don't be surprised if you're spending $20-$40 on a decent dual fuel stove, right? There's some binoculars in there, shovel, camping items, outdoor showers, things like that. The list goes on, and that's the reason why I said my mind just takes off. That I'm having generic pictures like this up here is because the list goes on and on in my head, and I can't. You can figure out what camping items I'm talking about, camping gear. So anything that has to do with camping, cook stove, tents, ladders, lanterns, sleeping bags, that's another thing. You got your regular sleeping bags, that's above 30 degrees, 50 degrees, 30 degrees, 0. And you got bags that go to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. My daughter lives in Minnesota with her husband, and they got this last winter a negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit wind chill, and their pipes were freezing up, and everything. The warmest they can keep it in the house at one time was 60 degrees, and so sleeping bags, depending on their quality, you're going to want something that's more quality, and the higher the quality is, the more it's going to be. Negative 30 degree sleeping bag is going to be between $180 and $250. So again, if you're spending $40-50, you're still spending a fraction of what that costs. So these all could be major assets for your emergency stash. When the power is out, or you have to force bug out, camping will be the way of life, and all gear you can bring along will make your life easier. Good quality tents, sleeping bags, it's just a repeat. So the next item, winter clothes. Old flannel shirts, coats, gloves, and hats are very inexpensive at garage sales. Stock up on these when you can. Buy several varying sizes, especially if you have children that are going to be growing. Having plenty of coats ensures you always have something dry to put on if you have to go out, chop wood, hunt, or look for water. Now, there's the layering rule. You got your base layer, your middle layer, your outer layer. Your base layer is the long johns that you put on, it's the undershirt that you put on. You want this to be synthetic, not cotton, because the base layer is meant for wicking. If you sweat, you want that sweat to wick away from your body, because at cold temperatures, it can cause you to go into hypothermia. You can use that base layer when you're out in the heat. You want that to wick away from your body, so you can be cooler. The secondary layer you have is your normal layer, and your outer layer is your wind blocking and weather layer that's going to keep you watertight. And so think layers when you think about winter clothing, and how and where you live, what temperature climate you're in, to decide on what kind of clothing you might need. Now, let's say you have family up north and you live down south. Still have winter items, because I guarantee you eventually you will go visit them at Christmas time. So be prepared ahead of time. If you have kids and you want to really be prepared, buy 3 sets of each phase of childhood, adolescent, teen, adult, and put them away if you have the room. Gardening tools. When I say you need to buy a hoe, that's not what I'm talking about. So you got hoes, rakes, shovels, and other gardening equipment. Your prepper garden will need tending to, and will likely, you won't have gasoline to prep them or to be able to maintain them or to run your equipment. These tools tend to break after time, so you want to have backups. That's where the used tools come into play. You also want to have plenty of tools so that more than one person can help you when you're gardening. If you get in a situation where you have to work with your neighbors, and they're going to have to work with you, to have extra tools on station will help with them. So say if they have to travel to you, they have to carry their garden tools. But if it's already there, you can say, hey, no, just come on over. You're going to save their backs by doing that. And it's a courtesy that you can do for most people if you have the space to do it. One thing that I don't agree about with this one particular picture here, bring this down a little bit, is the wooden handles. Now you guys see those wooden handles there, they will deteriorate, they will rot, and when they rot, you don't have a replacement, guess what you got? Hand tools. And you're not going to be able to do much with them. My suggestion is this: when you're prepping, get synthetic. Fiberglass, everything there could have a fiberglass handle on it, and it's going to be cheaper than a wooden handle. You can go out and find wooden handles, but anything in the store that you find, those wooden handles will probably cost more than the actual item itself. So stay away from wooden handles unless these are going to be extra tools that you're just going to put away and not use, and they're going to be there for guests to use if they come to help in your garden or something like that. Wheelbarrows, go for the double wheels if you can. Stick with metal, not plastic. Plastic can melt and plastic can dry up and crack. Next up, board games. You need something to do during your long hours without electricity, and all those gadgets we've come to depend on will no longer be working. Good old-fashioned board games and puzzles and cards will be the ideal way to pass time. These are morale boosters is what we call them back in the day in the military. I was in the Navy, I was on a ship, and I was on the USS Kitty Hawk aircraft carrier, and we went underway one time for 9 months. Imagine staying in the same place for 9 months. It gets boring pretty quickly. You come into a routine of doing work until everything's done. You no longer have to work. So you go to the routine of get up in the morning, show your face at work, be bored at work, go eat food, go work out, and then go back to sleep. After a while, that gets boring, and so people tend to be more social. And so that's when the games come out. MWR, which stands for Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, would be a part of the ship where you can go and pick up movies, magazine, books, games, and so on and so forth. And people became more social, and this is how we passed the time while we're sitting in the Persian Gulf. We played games. Can't go wrong with games, and I could tell you with experience that you could find a game. Here's one here, it's Jumanji. Don't pay more than $5 per game. And if you can bundle them up and get a cheaper price. This is another side hustle that I've done before through Etsy. I've sold games on Etsy before, and they're a great profit maker. You turn around, you inventory the item, make sure it's good, you take pictures, you put it on Etsy, and you sell it for $10. You just double your profit if you bought that for $5. Of course, there's shipping and everything like that, but it's a great side hustle if you're looking for some extra cash to bulk up your prepping supplies, right? So board games, cards, puzzle books for readers of all ages, even mason jars full of marbles can offer hours of old-fashioned fun and help boost spirits during long-term disasters. If the power grid fails, your kiddos will no longer have Netflix and PlayStations to enjoy. So go for your games. Board games are the best. We play board games at our house all the time. All the time. Cards all the time. And it's so much better than watching TV. Tools. This is not garden tools, folks. After a major storm, you'll need to take care of any repairs around your house. You may even need to build a shelter. You don't know. We live in a hurricane alley. We might get a hurricane. The roof might come off the house, and we might need to build a shelter or two. So pick up any screws, nails, hammers, wrenches, axes, screwdrivers, and so on that you could find at garage sales that you have the space for, especially those screws and nails. Let me tell you, the cost has gone up at the hardware stores. I don't know why, but they have, and the more you can find outside of the hardware store, the better off you're going to be, even if you have a whole lot of these things. Keep in mind that you can never have too many tools. If you have 6 hammers, you could always use one to barter with in case you have to barter somebody for something else that you might need. A hammer goes a long way, and just for trading, you can trade a hammer for a lot of stuff. There's just something about old tools from the 40s and 50s that beat the heck out of made in China tools today. Some sellers are savvy about higher quality other tools and may try to ask for a bit more at their garage sales, but in the long run, you're still getting the value of the item. You're still paying 20 to 40% of the value of that item, and I guarantee you, after the crap hits the fan, you're going to be glad you have that. Manual kitchen tools. I'm going to take a quick see who's up here. Lead by example still on here. We've got 3 people watching. A lot of people. Manual kitchen tools. Alright, let's see here. Visit garage sales where older people have lived. You're sure to find old hand grinders and a variety of other kitchen tools that will come in handy when you don't have electricity. Look for can openers, meat grinders, graters, manual hand mixers, so on and so forth. Let me take a quick break here. Keep the label. It ain't Bud Light. Singular, you got a kettle, you got a small pressure cooker, you got a seed extractor, some hand tools, grater, so on and so forth. A meat grinder. Think about mills as well. These are the type of hand tools that you're going to want inside your kitchen when the time comes. It's only going to, these tools only make things easier. Yes, you can be primitive about it. Yes, you can just use a knife. But these things are going to make your time more valuable. Medical supplies. Garage sales can be held most of the time for people who have passed away. Before they'll have an estate sale, they'll have a garage sale out front for the things that they don't want to put on the estate sale, which is usually an auction, right? People who have passed away or had long illnesses, this is a great place to find unused medical supplies. You can often find crutches, splints, slings, bandages that are all unopened. And that's the key item there. Unless it's a durable medical item, which we'll go over in a second. Any first aid items like band-aids and stuff like that, if they're not sealed, don't use them because it's not worth it. Face masks, stuff like that, if they're open, don't use it. But if they are sealed, say boxes of gloves, face masks, unopened packages of alcohol wipes, ointments, syringes. People will typically sell these items for very cheap just to get rid of it. And the reason why they get rid of it is because they're getting rid of the evidence of that loved one who had passed. And they don't want that as a reminder, right? So I'm going to a little continuance on this here. These are the only slides I have in medical that have more than one slide, right? So here you got the portable stuff. You got your meds, you got band-aids, stuff like that are hermetically sealed. If they're not sealed, then you don't get them. These are called DME items. That's durable medical equipment. You got your CPAP breathing machines, you got your toilet potty seats, your crutches, beds, wheelchairs, stuff like that. These are the items that you're going to have, and if you have the space that you're going to want to get. If the shit hits the fan, oh, my bad, and you come in and bring family in, you are more than likely going to have to take care of an elderly person, or a younger person is going to have to take care of you as you become elderly. What better way to be prepared than to have an old medical bed stored in the corner someplace, one that you can move up and down and sit up properly in when you need to. It's the tools that are going to make the end of life easier. And if somebody hurts their knee, you got a scooter, you got crutches. These are the things you're going to want to have on hand, so when you go to the hospital and they go, well, Mr. Patrick, looks like you have a sprained knee. We're going to have to put you in a knee splint. You say, oh, I got one of those at home. Let me call my wife up, or my wife will leave and she'll come back and get it. Doctor approved. Cool. Or, yep, I need some crutches. Oh, 1 second. Wife's going to go get some crutches from the house. Those items are not cheap from the hospital. Not cheap at all. They'll charge you $200 for aspirin if they can get away with it. So have these items already at home, stored away someplace. You can pull it out, and you'll be good to go, and you won't have to pay for those items. And a lot of times, if that does happen, you'll find that they charge you for them regardless of whether you had it or not, and you can itemize when you get your bill. One more item, more durable medical equipment. You got ankle braces, knee braces, back braces, walking braces, wrist, shoulder braces, foot care, hand care, leg supports, thumb supports, keeps your thumbs immobile, head and neck braces, cervical collars, and hot and cold therapy. These are more examples of the durable medical equipment that you should be looking for at these places of garage sales and yard sales. It's getting hot in here. All right, what's next on the board? Canning supplies. There are plenty of people who don't want grandma's old canning jars. Canner and all the tools that come with it. Home preservation is something preppers need to do in order to store up enough food to last them for several months. Jars can also be used to store water. These are the items you're going to want to have. You got your bath canner, which is just a water canner that you can can your low acidity items in. Pressure canners, two types that you pressure can your highest, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Your high acidity items are the ones you can bath can. The low acidity items are the ones you want to pressure can because they have low acidity and can get botulism or have bacteria that can withstand the heat of water bath canning. And so the one up on the screen here is a weight pressure cannon. And so you put the jars inside that, you get to a certain pressure, and then you put a weight on it. And that weight puts pounds of pressure on those canning jars to make sure it stays sanitary so you don't get botulism. So these are the cheaper ones, these weight ones here. There's usually in a brand called Presto. You can get them at Walmart, fairly cheap. But if you see these at a garage sale, see if they have that weight. And even if they don't have that weight, that gives you an opportunity to get it even cheaper. So, hey, there's no weight to this. How about $1? And they'll give that to you for a cheaper price. Check your seals, make sure they're good. And you can buy replacement seals online at Amazon. And you can buy replacement weights for those items as well. Now, if you want to go all in, or if you find this at a garage sale, there's American Standard. And these are the pressure cannons that have the little knobbies on top, right? Those are top of the line, almost industrial pressure cannons. You're going to find those start at $300 and go up at box stores, big box stores. And so if you find those at a garage sale, it's probably because there's something wrong with it. I ain't gonna lie. If you really want it, and ask them, say, hey, does this work? And if they say yes, you say, can you guarantee me it works? If I take this home today and I test it out, is it going to hold pressure? And if it doesn't, can I get a refund? Yeah, you could certainly ask for a refund if something doesn't work. And get that in writing, put it on your little note card, and then say, hey, if this doesn't work, I want my money back, because you're going to be paying high dollar for this. You're going to be paying $60 to $100 for an American can. And that's no joke. Money is no joke when it comes out of your pocket. It comes out of your bank account. And you can't get that back unless you put it in writing. Canning jars, lids. Stay away from lids. Buy lids brand new. Canning jar pullers. All kinds of canning stuff. What's next here? Hunting and fishing. I am not putting up a whole list because we'd be here all night. Hunting gear and fishing gear. Where there are no grocery stores, you may have to hunt for your food, or you may have to fish for your food. Buying new hunting gear and new fishing gear is expensive. So, get out there and get some hunting and fishing gear. I'm not saying buy guns for people, because it could be illegal. But you can buy knives, you can buy hunting gear, clothing, fishing gear, fishing poles, no holds bar on that stuff. The more you can find at garage sales and get and put together as kits, the cheaper it's going to be, so you don't have to go to the big box store to get these items. Hunting and fishing is a big item that we can go all night on. I would just highly suggest just doing a Google search and saying, hey, what should I be getting for basic hunting and fishing gear? Bicycles. If an EMP attack happens, it would knock out most vehicles, or if gasoline were to become scarce and expensive, bicycles would become a decent option for transportation. And while you can purchase bicycles at virtually any grocery store or commercial store with a sports aisle, you will spend significantly less buying used bikes in good condition from garage sales. When you buy used, you want to replace things. You want to replace those tires. You want to replace those tubes. You want to get run flats. You want to make sure the brakes work. You want to make that the best bike you can make it, and you'll still pay less than what you would pay for a decent brand bicycle at the store. So bicycles are a big thing. One for each of the family. Have a couple spares. That can help somebody out someday later down the road. Buckets. Taking a look at the notes here. Lead by example is, drum roll please, would you buy tools even if they have rust? If you have the equipment to take the rust off, I would say yes. You could take rusty equipment, put it in oil or lather it in oil and just let it sit. It won't rust anymore after that, as long as it's saturated with oil. And you can take a wire brush or wheel and clean that rust off. Best thing to do is clean the rust off and paint it. Paint it with cheap spray paint. It won't rust again until you start using it again. And that's good for storage. Alright, buckets. Storage buckets. Storage buckets can be varying in sizes. Among the most useful that a prepper can have is a 5-gallon bucket. They can be used for storing literally anything. Food, water, coffee, flour, herbs, oils, soil, etc. While keeping them protected. Along with buckets come the lids. So these things can keep things protected from the elements. You're also likely to spend significantly less money per bucket when you go through a garage sale as well. A bucket at Home Depot costs you $5. The lid costs you $3. That's $8 per lid and bucket combo. That's not very inexpensive. I call these 5-gallon buckets road treasures, because you don't know how many times I've stopped on the side of the road or turn around to stop on the side of the road and pick up a 5-gallon bucket that's come off a construction truck or something like that. Excuse me. because they're out there. They really are. You can find buckets almost any place. Take a trip someday. You feel like just driving. Go down an old country road and just follow the road. I guarantee you, 1 hour, you'll find 2 or 3 buckets. And that's $15 worth of bucket. That's my own little guilty pleasure, though. But I will pick up a bucket off the side of the road for sure. Because of my OCD, when I clean stuff up, I know there's a bunch of junk behind me, but when I clean stuff up, I will go to my garden house and go to my storage there, and I'll pull 10 buckets out, 10 5-gallon buckets out, and I'll take a sticky note and I'll mark what item is supposed to go where. So I will, when I'm cleaning up the spaces, as I'm going through it, I'll drop them in buckets. Books, pictures, other things, they will go in their bucket so they can go back to their home where they're supposed to be. Electrical items, gardening items, stuff like that. When I'm outside, I'll separate all those items out and then put them back where they need to be. If it's going to start raining, all I need to do is put a lid on it and it's watertight. So buckets are a big ticket item, especially when you're storing food and other things like that. Sewing supplies. While stocking up on spare clothing and essentials, just as critical as purchasing sewing supplies so you can repair clothing, blankets, towels, and anything else made out of fabric. Look for old sewing machines in good condition, needles, canvas, fabric, so on and so forth. Knitting and crocheting also applies to this subject. Pardon me. And so this is an item that you want to look out for. I got a sewing machine just right here behind me. When you get a sewing machine, you're going to want to make sure there's a wheel on it. And what that wheel does is it manually allows you to pull the needle up and down. If you could or you wanted to, you can hook something up to that and make it move if there's no electricity. And still sew without electricity. But these are sewing needles, sewing machines, crocheting items, awls. An awl is it's a small, it's like a thread, but it's a rope that you can use on heavier materials like canvas or leather to be able to sew through that. Stitching and crocheting supplies. Just remember, when a disaster strikes, your clothing will inevitably become torn and dirty, and there won't be any resupply from any online stores or department stores. Learning how to repair your clothing now will be a big help for the future when that won't be an option where you'll be able to replace it. Quality knives. Oops. Go back down here. It's no secret that quality knives can be very expensive. But again, it's possible to find quality blades for discounted prices when you go to garage sales. Even if the blades have become rather dull, hence why people get rid of them, you can still easily sharpen them yourself, or you can find somebody to sharpen them for you. Look for brand names such as K-Bar, Cold Steel, Gerber, and know how to spot a quality knife by the grade of steel. A Swiss Army knife is also a good find. You can never go wrong with a Mora brand for a low price all-purpose knife if you need to buy one. In addition to knives, look for machetes, axes, hatchets, tomahawks, scythes, and other bladed weapons for tools. So these are kitchen tools, and these are also hand tools. I'm talking just regular hand tools. If you can find a whole bunch of these are cheap. This thing was $5 at a gas station. You know somebody has like 30 of these sitting around someplace, and their spouses can be like, all those knives need to go. Pick them up, $1 a piece. You'll be just fine. So quality knives and items of that sort. Machetes, axes, hatchets, tomahawks, so on and so forth. Food dehydrators and What's on the screen is the mamma jamma of all dehydrator. Almost every household that's ever dehydrated food in their kitchen lives has a Nesco food dehydrator. And I guarantee you, hit 10 garage sales, 2 of them will have a Nesco food dehydrator. So that's your general average run-of-the-mill dehydrator. You're not going to pay a whole lot for these. If you find something like an Excalibur, you're going to pay a higher dollar for them. Those at a garage sale will go $50 and up, because an Excalibur would be a big box with trays that pull out, and they start at $300 and go up at retail value. And so you may have to look extra hard, but I highly guarantee you that you're going to find an Nesco. Old food hydrators in good condition will be available for only a fraction of the cost than if you were to purchase them new. A food dehydrator is essential to have because it removes moisture from food, meats, fruits, and vegetables, etc., in order to preserve them so they last significantly longer for storage purposes. So get your food dehydrator. If you don't already have one, you should. This is like the one item every garage sale has. Next item on the list, books. Survival related, homesteading related, and just plain books. You may have to look extra hard. Oh, this is wrong. Wrong note, sorry. Books about homesteading, gardening skills, primitive camping, wilderness survival, and so much more are found more often than you know, just for a couple dollars or less at garage sales and yard sales. Other books look for: Boy Scout manuals, Foxfire books, issue of Backwoods magazines, and anthologies. I've got a few books here. How to homebrew beer, Reader's Digest, Back to Basics, here's a few magazines: Popular Mechanics, Mother Earth News, Mother Earth Living, Handyman, Grit. These are the type of magazines that are going to have information inside them that you're going to treasure if the power ever goes out and never comes back on. The Quarter Acre Farm, Backyard Homesteading. And we are fortunate enough to have a paramedic in the house. When my wife decided she wanted to have a different career path, I said it has to be something that is resistant to change. And so no matter what happens or what goes on, this has to be something that you can do no matter what. And so she chose to be, recession proof is what I call it, a paramedic. So what comes with paramedic school? Paramedic books. This thing is thick, guys. I'm not kidding. But having items like this will be a lifesaver in the end, for sure. All right. Grain mills. A good grain mill can run upwards of $300 or more, but it's not uncommon to find them in yard sales and thrift stores. Familiarize yourself with a good brand name and ask to test the mill with actual wheat. Again, this is going to be an item that's going to be, it's going to work good. It's going to work forever. But if they're selling it, more than likely there's a problem with it, or they have more than one. So with a big ticket item like this, you're going to want the guarantee that it's going to work or your money back. Put that in writing. Talk to them. The best brand name that most flour mills go for is Wonder Mill. I don't have one, but I want one because they are expensive. I don't have one. You don't have to have one. You can use a coffee grinder as a mill if you needed to. But water mill is the way to go. Also, things with the mills like this, you don't have to do just flour. You can make other flours of other different things, beans, dried beans, and vegetables as well. Next up is homeschooling supplies. In a crisis, you may end up being your children's or child's teacher. Workbooks, classic literature, flashcards, math manipulatives, textbooks, and even school supplies are very often on sale at garage sales by homeschoolers who are moving up in a grade or have decided to liquidate their stockpile of school supplies. Huxley is homeschooled, mostly online. He's got an online school program, but we do have homeschooling supplies for him and teachable items as well. So you'll get the supplies, you'll get a teacher booklet with it, just telling you exactly how to go through the program. Cookbooks. Here we are. I got my favorite Rachel Ray Delish book, Yum-O. Specifically look for cookbooks that provide recipes for outdoor cooking, canning, Dutch oven cooking, and cooking with basic ingredients. Be strategic though. You don't want to end up with a stack of paperweights. Select ones you think you'll really use. Here's an example. I got my Rachel Ray book. I love these recipes. Simple, easy. You can see I have my tabbed off pages there. So you know I like this book because there's tabbed off. I can look at that inside of the book and go, okay, that's a book I'm going to keep. So when I'm cutting down an inventory of my 30 cookbooks, I'm going to go, I'm going to keep this one, this one, this one. That's how I know which ones to keep. Next up is candles. Price of candles are ridiculous at stores, especially larger ones that will last a long time. But if the lights go out, they'll be one of the most useful means of light that you can use. I'm always keeping eyes out at garage sales for candles, which I can usually buy for about $1 a piece. Sometimes you'll find them in a free bucket. Then I melt them down and I put them into spaghetti sauce jars or other jars that I can't use. Sometimes you use a mason jar and you put it in the microwave. If you put it in the microwave, you can no longer use that for canning because it'll explode. So I'll use that for candles, making survival candles. When you put a lid on it, it keeps the wick dry and it keeps it stored and ready for use. So one of the things you can do with candles when you make your own candles is put multiple wicks in them. You put a 4-wick candle. Yes, it's going to burn down quicker, but it's going to produce more light and more heat with that candle. So that's one tip for having candles. Oil burning lanterns. This is a kerosene lantern. I consider it an oil burning because kerosene is technically a light oil, right? It's a petroleum product. Oil burning lanterns are nothing more than a novelty of most people from the past, or bought as an item of decor, never used for its intended purpose. But that doesn't mean they can't be. These are great for using in a grid down situation, but they burn just about anything. As they burn just about anything, you don't have to use commercial lamp oil to use them. These are kerosene lamps right here. It's called a hurricane lamp. It's called a hurricane lamp because it's windproof. But if you had to, you could put cooking oil that's gone bad inside that. It'll still burn. You could put used motor oil inside that. It'll still burn. The big things about hurricane lamps is they get hot. And so you get stuck in a situation where you have no power and it's cold. You put 2 or 3 of these in a room or a smaller space where your people can be, it will add heat to the space. And this is where we start getting to the weeds. Satellite dishes. A satellite TV antenna. Other thing that can be used to make a solar cooker is a satellite dish. I'm not talking about the little ones we have today. I'm talking about the ones that were like 3 to 5 feet in diameter. They have to be metal. They cannot be plastic. What you can do is coat the inside of that dish. So the way it works with satellite dishes, they have the receiver, which sits in the middle of that long arm, right? Then that long arm shoots, receives from there. So what happens is when the satellite passes over, it's shooting beams at that dish, and that dish is narrowing those beams into that receiver, and that's how you get your picture for your cable. So what you can do with these, as long as they are metal, is simply cover it with aluminum foil, point it towards the sun, and it'll make what is called a parabolic cooker. It's going to condense all those rays to that one spot where that receiver was, and you can take that receiver off and replace that with a pan and do your cooking from that. And like I said, I started getting into this and started researching it, and I was just like, this can go on forever and ever. But I promise you, we are almost done, and we're not going to get that far into the what if and what can I make this out of. So let's just continue on from there. Satellite dish, if you see one, you have the space for it, get it. Bags and packs. If there's one thing every prepper could say they have a fetish for, it's luggage. Backpacks, rucksacks, bags, totes, satchels, pouches, and all the rest. Sturdy bags play a huge part in most preppers' overall state of readiness, serving as the core of quintessential bug-out bag systems and also helping them stay ready and organized for different situations. We all have bags. We all need them. Have you ever seen my wife's handbag? If you do, run the other way. And I'm just going to leave it there. You got backpacks, you got rucksacks, it's a huge, look it up on the internet and say, hey, bug out bag. It's going to show you exactly what you need. You find one of those, get those. Regular backpacks, messenger bags. These are all things you can use to store items and make your bag a little bit lighter when you're carrying stuff around. Blankets. You don't need me to tell you that you need more blankets. Every survival situation requires more blankets. In particularly, you'll see this picture here. These are wool blankets. So when you go for this specific kind of blanket, notice it's not common. You'll find it in older folks' homes, but wool is the way to go. Because if it gets wet, it'll continue to heat. If it's cotton and it gets wet, it'll draw heat from your body. Yes, it can be scratchy, but it's an amazing survival fabric. Foraging equipment. Now we're going a little bit farther out there. Believe it or not, we have a forge at our house here. Have we ever used it? No, we haven't. We have a forge, we have grinders, we have files, we have all the stuff to make a knife, even blanks of metal to make a knife. Have we ever gotten them out to use them? No, we have not. But it's there. Hammers, anvils, we even have a small anvil. And these are the items that you're going to need when it really does hit the fan, because you're going to have to make things out of other things, and this is one way to make sure that you're good to go and squared away. The last thing I have here, and I have a great example here, is baby items. Now these are cloth diapers that you see on your screen here. I've got one here. When our son was born 8 years ago, over 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, we went all the way. We're going to have glass bottles, and we're going to cloth diaper. And so we went and bought the best. I think these are called Best Bottoms. Yep. Best Bottom brand. Now, we don't have a need for this anymore, but we keep them. You know why? Because one day I can have grandchildren, and one day that can be during, a power out or grid out situation. Maybe a situation where nobody can afford anything. And we will have these on standby for whoever needs to use them. We put a couple of these in our car. If you ever come upon an accident and there's kids there and infants that have diapers, so the last place you're going to find a diaper, a disposable diaper, is in somebody's car, because it's the first place they look when they run out at home, and so they'll run that resource out. But if you have these on standby in your car, you can at least put something on their infant child so they can stop crying and you can handle the situation. You got your outer shell, you got your inner absorbency. If somebody gets hurt, you can take this out, control bleeding with it. It's going to be washed, it's going to be clean, so it's going to be a cleaner source of bleed control. But yeah, if you see these, don't be surprised they'll be a little more expensive, because these guys are not cheap. And so at that point, on item 26, which was baby items, I said, you know what? Maybe we've gone a little too far. So I'm going to stop here. And what I want you to do is, if I've forgotten anything, I want you to write some comments below and let me know what you think is a good item to pick up at a garage sale or yard sale. And so with that, I'm going to sign off and say it was fantastic being with you today. And if you enjoyed tonight's live stream, we look forward to next Tuesday's live stream, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until that time, you guys have a good one and be safe. I'm going to sign off now. Good night, guys.